If only you could get your caseload under control early so that you don't have to start the school year off feeling like you're drowning. What if I told you you can? Hi, I'm Anna from Anna Kelly's Creations. Let's make progress monitoring quick, goal writing easier, and your to-do list a little shorter. Grab your favorite bubbly drink and let's dive in. Every year, you know what's going to happen. You'll have the normal back-to-school checklist to complete, a classroom to get in order, a caseload to tackle, and if your caseload looks anything like mine, you usually have the following tasks hanging over your head. New students to meet and greet and get to know, and parents and guardians to introduce, IEP goals to decipher, like what did they mean when they wrote this goal? Objectives, accommodations to learn, and these are just the main ones. Does any of this sound familiar to you? I'm sure it does. Keep listening to learn how I mastered my caseload and started the year off a little more prepared. You can never be ready for everything. Ready to lead IEP meetings, create intervention groups, and complete progress monitoring. I try my best to get my caseload organized early. Assessments are your new best friend. When a new school year rolls around or a new student shows up with an IEP, I like to get a true picture of that student's abilities. I take a look at their goals and try to pinpoint their independent working levels for each one. To do this, I give students a grade level assessment that correlates to the grade level of their IEP goals. In order for this to be the right fit for students, they need to score between 60 and 80%. If they don't, I continue assessing them, but instead I assess them using the grade level below if they score below 60%. I continue this process until students are able to score 75% or higher 3 times on a grade level. This shows me the student's independent working level. We'll work on that grade level with the end of the year goal to reach 1 year's growth. Make sure you're working with students on the grade level at which they're learning. Most students will be working at a level below their actual grade level, and that's okay. That's the purpose of intervention, is to close the gap. This might be sounding like that's a lot of assessment at the beginning of the year or for a new student. Prevent assessment burnout. One thing I do is if a student doesn't score 75% or higher the first time, I go ahead and assess the next grade level down. Once students reach that 75% or higher, I know that their goal should be a grade above. So for example, if a student scored an 80, a 75, and a 90 on a second grade assessment, and a 50, 45, and 60 on a third grade assessment, I would know that their intervention learning tasks need to be geared towards third grade. This is what I would write as their goal. We need to be cognizant during this assessment time that we're not giving students frustration level work repeatedly. That's not a good way to build relationships. This is why I start early in the year with this so that I can spread it out. Split assessments over days to weeks so that they don't get burned out with those tedious and redundant tasks. Another reading comprehension probe. Make sure to incorporate activities that are fun and meaningful to reduce the testing fatigue as well. Thank yourself later in the year. Even though assessing students using this process is time consuming, I promise you when it comes time to write their IEPs, you're going to have valuable data to write those SMART goals. All the data you collect not only gives you a more detailed understanding of where your students are, but it also gives you data that you can use to present during IEP meetings, or writing those ETRs become a breeze. As I said, this data also is helpful because it helps you get to know your students at the beginning of the school year. You're going to know them front to back. Sometimes we receive students' IEP goals that might not seem correct. And by being thorough in assessing your students, you can see if their IEP goals are a good fit. Because the IEP is a live document that can be modified, you may want to take a closer look, especially if the student you are assessing is achieving at a much lower or much higher level that their goal says. This data is also great to help you determining grouping for your interventions. You'll know which students should work together on which skills. You can group them in to get 2 interventions done at once. We all know that us special ed teachers have to make our own schedules. So this is really helpful in being precise with our scheduling. Once you're ready for the intervention part, go check out my blog post on word problem solving intervention, and I'll help you with some other techniques to help with word problems rather than just keywords. So go gather that data. I know this process sounds time consuming and maybe daunting at the beginning of the year, but trust me, I know you'll be thanking yourself for having all of this data. Can you tell I love data? By the end of the first quarter. You'll even have good data for your progress reports when that comes around. Deadlines come much earlier than we expect them every single time, and this will help save time. One thing I love doing for other teachers is creating assessments that are quick and full of data collection to use your time wisely. Take a look at my blog for some more ideas and ways you can get your hands on some of these assessments. So, are you ready to start the school year off awesome? You're going to thank yourself so much for getting all this effort done ahead of time and having everything ready for the rest of the school year. And it will flow so smoothly. Are you looking for more ideas on how to have a smooth beginning of the school year? Check out my other 2 videos on your first IEP meeting and your first year as an intervention specialist. You can also check out my blog, which has great information on all intervention specialist needs. You're doing better than you think. Keep going, and I'll see you next time.